How is it to be back here with some Seattle sunshine?
It's great. Great. You know, I got to wear a cap so my glasses don't get fogged up, Jada, I know, but it's really good to be out. One of the things that we are going to miss about this facility is, you know, kind of walking out with all the kids and all that on a Saturday. It's kind of cool. It's good for Héber to see how many fans really come and support the team. The group itself, the players, they enjoyed today because there was a lot of competition today. So it's really good to be back.
You mentioned Héber there. What have you earlier impressions from him?
Well, he scored a couple goals. That's why we brought him in.
What's your expectations on his role? You know, what he can do for the squad in general in terms of his play.
I mean,
profile?
that's a little early, but certainly we want to try and get him on the field as much as possible. We do have a very big schedule, lots of games, but you know, I'm not counting out anything. I'm not counting out playing with 2 forwards. I'm not counting out playing with 1 and them trading. It's a work in progress.
In his game profile, how would you describe him as a forward and what he can provide in that group of forwards?
Well, he's a true goal scorer, like Raul, like Freddie. I mean, it doesn't take him many chances to score. I think that's what he's made his name. You know, we were kind of joking the other day that we beat him in Champions League last year, but he gets to go to Morocco, so that was kind of a bonus for him.
That's good.
But he's a good guy, fits in well with the locker room, very good, so very happy to have him.
Brian, in what ways is the ramp up different these next 3 weeks than it would be for a normal preseason?
Yeah, so I've already talked about with a couple of people about the differences in this preseason and the good job that Sean Muldoon and Adam Santofani did. Take the internationals out of it, the guys who were in the World Cup. We gave them individual specific programs for them in the off season to follow because we knew we had a shorter ramp up. So the physical preparation has so far been very good. The test scores from yesterday were better than what they had last year. The team, the group is fitter than they were last year, coming in last year. And look, it's hard. It's hard, you as an individual going out, running on your own. It's always harder to, maintain some base of fitness. But credit to the guys and credit to Sean and Adam. I think I've seen, a better starting point. Now you gotta fast forward that to real exercises, real drills, real fitness. Obviously injuries, we don't want to push them too hard to push them into injury fatigue, but I think that's been a positive for me, a positive sign with the short ramp up.
Is it just fundamentally different preparing for something like this than it was even for Champions League, which I think gave you an extra week or two, but also you could ease into a little bit more?
Yeah, the timing certainly allows you to do different things. A compressed schedule, yes, you have to be cognizant of their load and again the injury, but look, the players themselves are excited for this. I mean, they are talking about it. They love the fact that they have an opportunity to be on a world stage. I mean, we were on a continental stage with Champions League. I mean, it was great. We beat a couple Mexican teams and all that, but this is an opportunity for us to win that first game, and who knows who we're going to end up playing. So they are super fired up about it. And that pushes the training. That makes our job easier as coaches, for sure.
So, you might answer this a little bit, but you guys won the cup last year. It seemed like crowning achievement for this franchise, unprecedented for MLS. Would winning on the world stage, would that be that times 10? I mean, I mean, don't get ahead of yourself.
I don't want to get ahead of myself, but if I'm a soccer fan and I kind of get excited about stuff, if we win the first game, which we don't know who our opponent's going to be, but let's say we get past our first opponent, we could be playing Real Madrid in a competitive match. I mean, that would be just mind-blowing. So we don't want to get too far down the road. We still have to prepare for a regular season. We have to prepare for the first match that we're playing against an opponent who will have the same desires that we. They want to play against Real Madrid or Flamengo.
So Obed and Zhao were obviously big questions this offseason. Where would you assess their fitness?
JP, we're just making sure that nothing bad happens. Obed, similar, but he's probably a little bit further ahead. But they're both in full training. So just making sure that they tick the last boxes.
So what's the next month like in terms of how long you spend in various places to get ready to play in halfway across the world?
Well, we'll start here, Jackson. We will start here, and then there is a trip planned. We will be off to Spain, and then directly from Spain we will fly to Morocco.
Do you have games set up with two teams in Spain to get
Yep,
ready for it?
we have teams and a good week of training there, and a final training match, and then again flying to Morocco from there.
So going into the Club World Cup, people have been trying to guess what approach you're going to take as far as the team you're going to play. So I'm just wondering if you're going to take more of a preseason approach since it's so early in the season, or if we're going to go all in like we did in the Champions League.
Well, this is a competitive tournament. The Sounders' ethos, the motto, the culture of the club is every game is important. Whether it's a training game, whether it's an exhibition game, whether it's a competitive game in MLS, in Open Cup, in a Club World Cup, we're going there to try and win the first game. And then if we can do that, we'll use the same approach for the second match. We're not going there on vacation, I'll tell you that.
You guys, it wasn't a given, but 14 years making the playoffs last year, 13 last year, did you talk about that this season as far as you got to get back?
I brought that up in the preseason meeting yesterday. And look, there's probably plenty of reasons why, but my job is not always to provide the answers. My job as a coach is to ask them questions, to make them reflect. How did you feel after being on such a high? And then, I showed them the photo after the last game in Sporting KC of guys on the ground exhausted because they put everything in, but we knew we were out of the playoffs. And so how do they respond? What is their mindset as a group, as an individual? Those are some of the things that I asked open-ended questions about. And only this season will dictate how we as a group answer those questions.
Was there a conversation? Were there any responses, or is it also them kind of just
I left them to their own devices. They are talking about it. They obviously are a proud group. This is a proud franchise. We didn't take last year's playoff miss very well, so we will come back strong.
Coach, is there a point in a typical preseason where a player kind of will stand out to you and you're like, they've taken steps forward? There's something that is different about their skill level, something they've added to their game? Is there a point in preseason when that starts to appear?
Yeah. Look, there's always little glimpses of, good things. So Antonio was very good today. You guys have to look that up, who he is, but he was very good today. It was his birthday today, and maybe he was excited, but he looked good. There were other players certainly that, performed well, work hard, knew who had a good day because we're working on defending. You saw some of the goals that were scored. It was a good day all around. But, the final tests will be the exhibition matches against real competition, and we'll have to see who really is performing well.
You mentioned going from the high to the low. Jordan mentioned something earlier when he was up here, kind of something similar. Is there a built-in disadvantage to the regular season when you could participate in a tournament of this magnitude? And it might be worth it, but
it's some of my reasonings for the drop-off is human nature, because people do sometimes get complacent, or maybe those first 3 weeks after we won, we're a little too full of ourselves. Who really knows what went on in every single player's mind? But certainly there is a challenge. Coaches around the world in different sports have always said it's easier to get to the top than stay at the top. That's common sense. And so, we had a challenge, and we didn't meet that challenge.
How is the communication different with Craig and Doug?
Communication is never an issue with me, Jada. You should know that. I like talking to people.
I don't, personality-wise or anything like that. Is there anything, a difference?
It's always good. It's always good when you have support from the front office. So, Craig will be up next. You can ask him the same question. But no, we get along great. He's a Northwest guy. He's humble. So love working with Greg. He's been great to work with.
Coach, you got a lot of challenges this year between World Cup and then also the new format of Leagues Cup.
Yeah.
How would you describe this year and what it brings?
Long,
I like it. One word.
challenging, opportunistic. There are a lot of opportunity there. It'll be an opportunity for, look, Nico, a lot of our team and how we play, but we're going to need all of the players to perform at some point in a long season with a bunch of games. So it's opportunity for Danny, for Josh, for Obed, for Ethan, for some of the young guys, for the mid-range guys, the seasoned pros. They help you through those hard times because they've been through it. And then look, in the big games, in the big moments, you need your big stars to perform well. So it's going to take a group effort to manage this season.
Shorter preseason, but longer off-season than you guys have had.
Yeah.
I think ever. How would you? Well, maybe not ever because you had the very long off-season. How did that change? How did that change the way that you approached it, and how do you feel like your players stepped up to that sort of challenge of staying?
Well, I don't know if it was a challenge. Yes, they might have been restless, but a lot of the guys went home, were able to visit family, friends, take some time off to mentally refresh. We talk a lot about the physical pressures of our sport, the physical demands, but it's also the mental side of the game too. Sometimes it's good to be away from things. Sometimes it's good just to shut down. So I'm hoping that they were able to do some of that on a mental aspect of our sport, of the pro sports, and come back refreshed.
Do you think some of them needed it after? It wasn't just last year, but 5 years straight.
Well, okay. I could say again, the guys that went on international duty, they were looking forward to the biggest tournament of them all. Hopefully they've got a couple of days to recharge after they came back from the World Cup. The other guys, there's been a lot of guys that have been going for a long time because we hadn't missed the playoffs. We'd always extend our seasons. So MLS is designed, to take its toll on, well, it's not designed like that, but it just does take its toll on people physically and mentally.
The players had their off-season plan. What was the coaching staff's off-season plan? Was there a particular thing you wanted you and your partners to focus on?
I can't, I'll tell you off camera. It involves tequila. Just kidding. You can scratch that.
We'll keep that one in. It's fine. Do a couple more, then we're gonna go wider.
For the guys who did go to Qatar, would you like to be able to find some downtime for them at some point early in the season because they didn't get a full off season?
Well, we're keenly aware of what they've done. We try to give them, an immediate break right after they came back. Newton went to visit family. Christian got married. Jordan and those guys took some time off. Javi just had a birth of his baby girl, so he's kind of busy. We're cognizant of all that, but no, there's no real rest for them.
Coach, you've never been afraid of giving an opinion. I just wanted your thoughts on everything that's going on with U.S. soccer, Greg Halter, and everything that's going on with that.
Well,
soap opera.
Look, it's a soap opera. It's sad that we're talking about those types of issues instead of the performance of the team in the World Cup. That's all I want to say. That's a private matter. Private matter.